welcome. We're here for episode 3 of Velocity PT Academy's podcast. So you've got the graciousness of myself, Matt and Brandon with us today. So we've talked about Brandon quite a little bit, haven't we, over the past 2 episodes?
Talked about me.
He's been the man behind the camera, the man behind the podcast.
Yeah, I was in front of it.
But now, show your face to everyone.
It's on the other end, isn't it, today?
Show your face.
A bit like, ooh.
So, so like I say, I'm here with Matt and I'm here with Brandon. So,
Mr.
Brandon,
Milner.
because you're the new guy, let's have a little bit of an introduction, please.
So, I am now the digital marketing and brand ambassador. Brand ambassador.
Brand ambassador.
Brand
Branding,
officer.
Yeah.
He's giving himself a promotion already, isn't he? It's
Already going in for it, yeah.
You've only been here 2 days.
You need to throw executive on the end of that somewhere.
Yeah,
definitely.
somewhere along. Marketing manager. Coming soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been with Velocity since December 2017.
Yeah, correct.
On a
Yeah,
work-
around Christmas
on a work
time.
experience.
You did.
My title then was T-boy and washer-upper.
It were
was.
it were a little bit better than work experience. You do
Yeah,
that when you're 14, 15 year old at school, don't you? What were it? Work placement at university.
Yes.
That were from
So
what university did you grace?
I am gracing. I did grace Leeds Beckett.
Leeds
Did
Beckett.
Grace. Yeah.
Not anymore.
Not
We're
anymore.
a free
no.
man now.
When did you finish?
Wednesday of last week.
Wednesday.
Forever.
Forever. How long you do?
3 years. Too many.
Studying
Sports business.
sports business.
Sports business.
Sports business management, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was the one. It's big school, that isn't it? I'm
Yeah.
not missing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we just
Nice.
chilling now.
So before we go into like the university and what you studied and how it went, what's your role now?
Now I am digital marketer and
Yeah.
brand officer.
And what does that consist
So
of?
essentially, I cover everything that's online to do with
Yeah.
Velocity, the social medias, the web page, just
Yeah.
everything else in between, really,
Yeah,
and all the videos.
you're basically the guy that's pulling me and Matt apart, trying to get us to do his videos and podcasts.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's worth mentioning as well that it's not only like the social media side of things. So
Yeah.
what everyone sees is like the social media, so like your Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc. But what they don't see is everything that you do behind the scenes. So that's in-house, so like for our learners.
Yeah.
So we have a lot of learning aids outside of what Active IQ provide. We create a lot of content ourselves, which is really useful, and that's kind of what Brandon does behind the scenes. So we'll create like videos for our a lot of our learners, whether it's like practical stuff or we're kind of getting into it a lot more with like the theory side of things. We've got
Yeah.
some things coming
Yeah.
up which are quite exciting, and that's Brandon's project, so that's
Yeah.
what he'll be doing as well.
Spent many hours with the hooks and
Yeah.
Many
Ben
hours
himself
with
Yeah.
our different
ripping them
tutors.
apart.
Yeah. I did, yeah. Manhandled me on them PDF files that we
Oof.
send people.
Do
Wasn't
what you
it?
got to do, mate.
Yeah. Is that a sports massage walkthrough or is it a WWE walkthrough? I
Yeah,
don't
so
know.
off the ropes.
Bloody hell.
No, but it's brilliant. So Brandon, as well, you do all of the creative stuff, don't you?
Yeah.
But also, what's going to be new to your role? A little bit of SEO, a little bit of
a little bit of internet work.
data analysis and all that
mate,
lovely stuff.
I'm ready for this.
You ready for it?
Yeah,
With
Did quite a few modules at uni, so
a little bit more responsibility
a
now
little
on your
bit more of a
shoulders.
grown-up role now. All of a sudden. Real world.
Real world.
4 days after finishing is
Yeah, straight in.
straight in, crack on.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So, Brandon, then, let's talk about university. So, it was Leeds Beckett, you've already mentioned. So, who were your tutors? What was your course? What did it
Yeah, so it
entail?
was sports business management.
Yeah.
The first year is just general everything. You learn everything they possibly can teach you in a year.
Yeah.
I don't really know why they do that. It's not really specific to anything. I think it sort of gives you a taste of life.
Right.
Moving on to second year, it becomes a little bit more streamlined. They like sort of try to develop it down a little bit more, so you learn
Yeah.
a bit more in depth. But again, it barely even touches the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third year, they just hammer you with learning everything in the finest of details
Right.
to do with just general sports, business, marketing. You
Right.
name it. They try to teach you it in a year,
Yeah.
and then it's summed up by completing your dissertation.
Well, it sounds like you loved it by the sound of that.
Well, I mean,
Definitely loved it. Yeah.
I mean,
Do another 3 years.
You've sold it to me
I
anyway.
don't know if it's worth another 3 years, but hey ho.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's for what it's taught me now. I look back at it and I'm
Mm.
grateful. At
Good
the time,
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Don't remember much of it.
yeah. So what were your dissertation about then? What did you have to
So,
produce? What was it?
Initially, you get the choice to just do whatever you want, whether it's company based, you think of an idea yourself, or you can go off and like create a business or like a consultancy plan.
Yeah.
One of my tutors put to me the idea to do an investigation into loans and like the football loans within like the European system and stuff. So I took him up on it based on the fact that I knew for a fact that I'd get more time to see him than a normal tutor, because he was actually writing a piece of work at the same time around that. So there was 7 of us in total. We all got given a different league. So I got the German league, the Bundesliga, and just had to sit there for hours on end going through every transfer that had happened for 8 years.
Right. So that were a good excuse for you to play on Football Manager for the 3 years that you were at university.
FIFA and Football Manager were just absolutely rinsed. So I sat there many hours just sort of doing all that, but I knew if I did that, I wouldn't have to go out and rely on other people for my questionnaires, for my interviews.
Yeah.
It was, if anything went wrong, it was my own fault.
Got you.
So I sat there for hours on end, worked out something like 8,000 transfer loans and nailed it down to like 800 loans or something like that stupid.
Yeah.
And you just had to put it all together to see if the top teams in Germany loaned players to the bottom teams, essentially.
Right.
That was it.
That were it.
It was said a little bit more.
So there's not many international loans in Germany then, is there?
No, there's
is there
a
quite
few.
a few?
There's quite a few, but it's always to Brazil and weird places you've never even thought of.
Yeah.
Rather than...
Not like an influx of Chelsea
Not like an influx of Chelsea at all. It's,
players,
it's weird players that you've... One-season wonders.
Ah, right, I've got you.
None of them are listening to this.
No, we only get 3 listeners, mate. You're fine.
I mean, that's gone down from last week. So.
I know, it was 5 last week. This must have been something we said.
Essentially, it was to just work out if the big teams loan to the little teams.
Yeah.
Said a little bit more in depth in my actual title, but for the
in a nutshell, that's
for the
it.
basis of it, that's it.
Yeah.
That
Cool.
was interesting.
Leeds United could have done with a few of those loan signings,
football,
couldn't they, maybe?
I was wondering how long it'd take for Ben to bring that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I planned for the best week of my life to finish uni.
Yeah.
Watch Leeds go to Wembley.
Yeah.
Booked my hotel for the weekend to go watch them get promoted.
And what happened?
Frank Lampard managed to turn us over.
4-2 at home.
Yeah. Few tears were shed into a few pints that night.
I bet there's more than a few.
Oh, dear.
Carried on for a few days then. Yeah.
But speaking of university work and what you've put in the work for your dissertation, you got your result yesterday, didn't you?
Managed to get first in my dissertation overall.
Congratulations.
So I don't know what it means I get overall, but it should hopefully do me favours.
Yeah.
Hopefully at least anyway.
So playing all of that Bundesliga FIFA has worked out for you.
FIFA and the hours sat in the library together combined of the stuff I've missed to sit in that library. It makes it a little bit worth it now, to be fair.
All right, and I know what you can watch on your phone in library nowadays, mate. You're not kidding anybody on. Yeah.
All right, maybe many hours of sat watching TV while I was
Brilliant.
iPlayer at one side, Netflix.
Yeah.
No, cracking. No, good stuff, mate. Well done.
Thank you very
So,
much.
Matt, what have you been keeping busy with since the last time you were on a podcast?
So mainly we've been kind of focusing on, now that we knew that Brandon was coming on full time, creating a lot of content for our learners moving forward with obviously new qualifications coming up. We've got 2 or 3 exciting new quals that we'll be releasing hopefully at some point this year.
Yep.
And then along with that, creating like content of support for those learners.
Yeah.
So we've recently released our level 4 advanced P2 qualification, which it's quite exciting really. It's not a massive qualification yet because it's still relatively new.
Yeah.
So myself and you have been doing a lot of work in terms of supporting those clients, so creating like webinars and things like that. So that's kind of been my focus over the last couple of weeks, along with obviously my normal day-to-day stuff as well.
Yeah. It's been good.
Yeah, so we've kind of got a lot of things in the background going on, which is really exciting for us as a company to kind of release. I won't say too much because obviously it would be nice to kind of reveal it as and when.
Do a big release.
As along with those new qualifications, which again is exciting to be able to look at something new and provide an additional qual for people.
Yeah, it's just kind of taking people to that next level with that level 4, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And just to let people know a little bit of an insight, we are actually going to be the only training provider in the UK with a sufficient e-learning platform for a level 4 personal trainer qualification.
So we've kind of developed the e-learning platform ourselves. Because it's such a new qualification, the awarding body wasn't quite there yet with it. So we've gone took it on ourselves and developed that ourselves.
Yeah.
Which I think is testament to us as a provider with obviously what we want to provide for our learners.
Yeah.
It's that quality of service.
That's it. I mean, want to go a bit extra mile and give them the most amount of knowledge. It's okay just kind of having a tick box qualification, but this one we actually want them to develop and learn. It's that next level that they're needing to understand. So I mean, I've just finished a learning resource on how to research. So straight away, one of the learning outcomes in the level 4 is how to go away and how to research information. So you're looking at peer reviews, you're looking at scientific research, you're looking at like questionnaires and things like that, and just being able to manipulate the pros and cons of each of them. So that's just like a little insight into what they will learn at that qualification.
I think as well, with it obviously being a level 4, it's holding a lot more weight to it. So it's there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more substance to the actual qualification. Yeah. Like you say, it's not just a tick box exercise. They've got to go away and do a lot of work, research in their own times, and work with that client.
And I think as well, if anybody listening to this episode that is interested in a level 4, I do want to just kind of stress it is a higher level adult education qualification, that one. So it won't typically be spoon fed to the extent of what level 2 and level 3 has. So just be aware that because we've given you a very wide bearing to be able to complete this qualification with, doesn't necessarily mean that you're not being supported. There is going to be that support there, but we need to see your own creativity and your own knowledge, and that's what you're marked on basically as your overall score.
It's the pretense that person's been, they're going to obviously have to hold a level 3 anyway, but if they've been working in the industry for 6 months or 10 years, they're still going to have to go away and do a lot of it themselves. But like you say, the support's always there, as with all of our quals. But massively more so, like you say, for the level 4, it's a higher grade, so therefore they've got to do more work for it.
So it's a bit like completing your dissertation, really.
That's what I was about to say.
It's a bit like the dissertation.
Yourself just coming from university, you'll know the step up between being at high school, being in college, and then going to university, where all of a sudden it's right, this is a criteria, go away and read about it. And that's what higher education is about. It's about being able to go away and look at different sources and come together with your own conclusions on things.
Definitely. It's like you're given the basics. You say, right, if you get this, you've passed. You've got to do that extra bit to go, actually, I've smashed this. I've done well out of this. So
the standard for level 4s, obviously it's high. It's you've got to put the work in and put the time in. But that's what we've been developing in the background, is that support and that content to help them through it.
If you get it right.
That's it.
If you get it right.
You get the benefits.
Awesome, good stuff then. So, a few things we're going to cover in today's podcast, aren't we? So, I mean, Matt, you've got a few subjects you want to talk about. So if you just want to give an overview first. And then
we thought that kind of a massive thing is nutrition for everybody, whether they're a personal trainer, a client, a physio, a sports massage therapist, whatever your background in the health and fitness industry. Nutrition's obviously massive. The more people talk about nutrition, the more people's ears prick up, and it's kind of talked about a lot. So we kind of thought we'd cover a couple of different diets, should we say, that are out there at the minute. Ben's going to discuss one, and I'm going to go over one as well. And then I'm going to talk about things from a personal trainer point of view, where like how I provide content with my clients and how I provide those nutrition plans.
Right, brilliant. So you're talking about from a personal trainer's point of view.
Absolutely, yeah. So the kind of things that I do as a personal trainer are provide that education. I don't just give a client a plan and go, follow that and you'll be shredded in 10 weeks, or whatever a lot of people do online and in gyms. It's more an educational point of view. Because of obviously now my job as an educator for training quals, I like to pass that over to my personal training as well.
And I think that's what they've got to think about as a general personal trainer. Try and educate your clients. Don't think that you're giving away all your tools to success and they're going to be able to conjure up their own plan and never use you again. Because if that's true to what you think, then you're not in it for the right reasons being a personal trainer. If you educate that client and they start to take accountability and credibility and they're thinking about what they're actually eating and doing and getting the steps in and things like that, so then they are going to achieve their goal a lot quicker by having their mindset changed and being more educated within
if you don't
what they're doing.
If you don't educate them, they'll just follow exactly what they know, and if that might be wrong. Whereas if you educate them and they know that it's right, that's going to stay with them for the rest of their lives. So
I mean, how many clients have you heard say bullshit things to you just because they've heard it either like on...
Even now, I had one the other day. I had a client the other day saying, "Oh, it's bad if you eat in the middle of the night, isn't it?" Or something like that. You know, where it's like your body doesn't know really that it's the middle of the night, so it's not going to absorb the calories in a different way or the macronutrients in a different way.
Mate, I've heard that if it's between 12 and 5 a.m, then it's like it's plus 10 calories and everything that you put in your mouth.
Your body will just store the fat. Yeah,
it just knows what it's on about.
Yeah, it's
just knackered, isn't it? Right.
It's the same as like people saying you shouldn't eat carbs after 6 o'clock. Or, you know, it's someone out there's gone, shouldn't do that, and then it's spread, and then it's gospel to some people.
And then it's gospel.
But it's that education where people need to know the bullshit from the truth.
Yeah.
So it's one of them really where it's about helping as many people as we can as a provider and me as a trainer. So
it's even scary sometimes of I'll talk from experience and you'll know yourself, Matt, when you come to actually teaching people, sometimes the bad habits that students come with.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've heard some like rotten things that I've heard students actually think are gospel and are actually true.
Yeah.
Train in the morning so then your body doesn't understand what you're actually doing before it wakes up. Something like that. And I thought, where'd you hear that?
Yeah. Or where have you made that up?
Where'd you hear that? No, no, that's not true. Let's just have a discussion around that. What you've just said.
Yeah, I mean, what's really interesting is something I'll mention straight away is Mr. Milner is going to be going through his level 2 and level 3 qualifications.
He is. Yes. You are.
So is it September when you graduate?
I graduate in July.
All right. Okay.
Even sooner.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. So as soon as he's done that, then he'll be going through us as a provider, and I've got the pleasure of being your tutor.
I do quite like his. Before I went to uni, I came to you for a course, didn't I?
Oh gosh, yeah, I remember that. I took a course.
Back in time.
I remember calling you. Yeah, I got a referral from Ryan Robinson, and then it was like, oh, this lad's interested in a course, right? I remember I was in Northern Ireland at the time when I rang you. I actually do remember, and
back in the day.
Fast forward 2 years, he's asking me to come on work placement. I thought, nah, you didn't buy a course, you cheap bastard. No, you're not coming on it.
I can get a free one out of this.
Yeah, a bit long-winded, but you get it.
It's a long game, but it works out for me.
Yeah, I like it.
Now I've got the pleasure of Mr. Malik teaching me.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be taking you through level 2 and 3 as well, which will obviously help you in your role.
Yeah, it's about time, isn't it, really?
You'll be like a proud dad playing football with his son.
Yeah, I will. When we do the graduation photo, I'll put my arm around you. We'll do the little thumbs up.
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I can't wait to buy World's Best Teacher Cup and everything.
I expect that mug now you mention it, you know.
You're getting a mug, my friend.
It's me. A mug's enrolling on your
class, mate. Yeah.
I'm leaving.
So I've got a question for you.
Right.
A diet, which we've been talking about, is a keto diet.
Yeah. So a ketogenic. What do you want to know about a ketogenic diet?
I want your opinion on the keto diet. Is it worth its weight? Is it beneficial? Does it have negative effect? Anything that you know about it?
Yes, I mean a ketogenic diet. That's just that. The basis of it for listeners that are tuned into this and maybe unsure of a ketogenic diet. There's many different variations of a ketogenic diet. And it actually dates back to like the 1920s.
Yeah, I know. It's an old diet, isn't it?
Yeah, so it kind of it doesn't hold true if people say that a ketogenic diet is actually a fad diet.
Yeah.
It's actually been here longer than anybody that's actually saying that term.
Yeah, like Weight Watchers, all them kind of things that have been around a long time. It's obviously longer.
It's been here for a long time, and there's been many spin-offs of it. So a standard ketogenic diet, you're looking at a high-fat, moderately high-protein diet with quite a low substance of carbohydrates in there.
Yeah.
The ketogenic diet, like back in the 1920s, how they kind of came to it was that it were actually trialed on people that suffered seizures. Due to like epilepsy.
Right. Okay.
However, it got to a point that when they were running these trials, that due to like human vanity, people thought actually this diet might actually be able to make me look better at the same time. So the kind of like the main role of the keto diet is to use your fats as more of a fuel source as opposed to your carbohydrates. Keeping the proteins relatively high in there. Now, the main purpose of that is that you're looking to try and promote the the kind of regulation of ketones in your body. So that's a term known as like ketogenesis.
Keto diet,
So ketogenesis is trying to like try and produce your own ketones within your body. And when looking back at these trials that they did back in the 1920s, the main kind of root of having these ketones is because that would kind of prevent the electrical activity that's happening within the brain when people are having the epilepsies, to try and regulate it. So yeah, like studies were done on it, and as you can see, it's not the be all and end all of stopping seizures. So I wouldn't say that it is the main root cause of the keto diet and why it was created and why it's being used today. The main role when you say keto diet now, it's for people wanting to lose weight because of that vanity aspect that came of them trials. So within the keto diet, I mean, my own personal opinions. I mean, I've tried it before. I mean, I remember my first competition diet that I ever did. I actually started out on a ketogenic diet because I was down to the impression of what through myself and my own experiences with food was that carbohydrates didn't really adapt to me very well. I thought that if I were to kind of like blow out on carbohydrates, then I'd put weight on. Like I was drawn to the conclusion if I looked at bread, I'd put weight on. Do you know what I mean?
But that's the mind of a lot of people now.
Yeah, and that can be
bad.
Within a mentality of individuals. So with I tested out that keto diet. Tested it out for the first 2 weeks of of my prep. And to be honest, I didn't adapt to it very well.
No.
It actually made me quite ill. I'm not sure why, but that isn't the same to everybody's experiences. And what I've got to try and like get through to the listeners as well is people that are listening to this, they may already have an ideology of a ketogenic diet, because nutrition is something that people hold much more like a religion. So they might say ketogenic diet, and then straight away somebody's like, oh, keto diet, yeah, absolutely love keto diet, I swear by it, I always lose weight on it. Whereas other people might not, and they might say it's a load of bollocks and you don't lose any weight on it and it's a fad, and then crushing down on it. That's effectively where the keto diet's from, and what it was produced from, and where it came about from. It has been used as well, looking back at the physiology of it. So if you look at those ketones that you look to produce through ketogenesis, they're from a dieting point of view, the ketones. Have you heard of like the raspberry ketones and supplements? The ketones are supposed to have some appetite suppressive effect. That's what they're supposed to do. However, I think sometimes what people tend to turn a blind eye to whilst they're also on the keto diet is that they're also on a high protein diet at the same time. Now, I don't know about any of you guys or any of the listeners, but have you ever tried to eat 300 grams of chicken like a really, really substance? Like, have you ever had like a massive meat feast and you've eaten all the meat in the world? I mean, how's your appetite after? You're stuffed, aren't you?
Sweats.
So that's like protein is a very satiating macro that you eat.
I mean, I'm just coming out of student life, so...
You just come out...
300 grams of chicken, that's
300 grams of chicken, how much?
That beef at week now,
I'm having once, twice a month, maybe, that sort of thing.
So that's what I think people sometimes turn a blind eye to. That, yes, don't get me wrong, you are producing ketones. Ketones have been shown to have an appetite suppressive effect, but they're about as much kind of use as what people would say like insulin is, and using like having an insulin spike after you work out and everything. I mean, it's your cherry on the top type of stuff compared to actually coming down to basic human thermogenetics.
I think for probably 99% of the population who aren't a competitive bodybuilder or aren't that high-end athlete, I don't think it's probably relevant to a lot of people. Yeah,
definitely, and it comes down to the like sustainability of a diet. If you've got an individual that's used to eating a certain way in a certain pattern, then all of a sudden you try and flip it on its head, they're probably not going to adapt to it that well within those initial time periods. And what I mean by that is, with a keto diet, you're effectively taking all of your macronutrients that you're getting from carbohydrates and pumping them into your proteins and fats, mainly your fats. The weight loss benefits of a keto diet, mainly, like for people that don't do it correctly. So what I mean by don't do it correctly is that they're actually not eating enough protein and fats, is because it's really easy to just cut carbs out for people. So that's kind of where a lot of benefits would come from for the keto diet. It's not, they typically might not be actually be following a keto diet. They actually might not even be ketogenic. Like, have you ever seen the keto strips that people can do? And they call it like pissing Barney, because if you wee on them, they go purple. And that means that you've got ketones in your body. You're producing a good amount of ketones. But the fact of the matter is, you haven't got to get caught up on that type of stuff. If you're all of a sudden, just because you're not producing ketones and you're not ketogenic, doesn't mean that you're not in a calorie deficit. It doesn't mean that
you can't lose fat.
Yeah, exactly. Like, basic human thermodynamics is that if you're ingesting less than what you're actually doing, or you're burning on a regulatory basis through your basal metabolic rate or your activity, you're still going to lose weight if you're in a negative balance.
It's energy versus energy out.
Exactly. It doesn't necessarily matter if it is just protein and fats that you're eating. Doesn't matter if it's just fats and carbohydrates that you're eating. Doesn't matter if it's protein and carbohydrates that you're eating. It will always, if you imagine it like on a pyramid, down at the bottom you'll have your deficit. Things up at the top that don't really matter, that's the icing on the cake type of things, are having a wee on your keto strips to see if you've got ketones in there. Exactly, that's right at the very top that you haven't necessarily got to worry about. I mean, that's not to say that using them isn't kind of like a guideline that you can help to try and get you into the ketogenic diet. I mean, imagine it as learning to ride a bike, and you've got your stabilizers on. You can use those sticks as kind of like your stabilizers. That's teaching you if your diet is making something happen. Do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, if you've done that for a certain amount of time, then you don't need to use the strips anymore, because you know what you're eating should produce ketones in your body. Do you know what I mean? So that's an example. So if I was to start thinking about my experiences of putting people on a keto diet, they tend to have not been that good, dependent on the person. They've always been seen as the person will come with an ideology that it's a quick fix. They can do it for X amount of time, lose the weight, and then go back to eating their own foods and back to their own habits. Exactly. But you've kind of you need to see it as more a sustainable approach that you can take to dieting. If you start the keto diet, can you still see yourself doing it in 6 to 12 months time? If the answer is no, and you're not getting any benefits from it, then it's not going to be for you. I've kind of found a lot of dropout on a ketogenic diet before, just because it is so different. And if the person doesn't do it right, then it will be tough, because you're trying to work without carbohydrates. Basically, that's what you're doing. I mean, have you ever had any experience with putting people on a ketogenic diet, man?
Keto, no. Because I think for probably 99% of people, or a lot of people, it's so different from what they normally do, or what most people normally do. So you're asking someone to change their normal lifestyle habits, and that's a big ask. It doesn't have to be nutrition, it could be anything. It's just a big ask for that person to do. But whereas you could have something that's maybe a little bit more in line, or like you say, you could have that person who it works for them. So keto might not work for 99 people, but it might work for one. So it's, you can't rule it out as not being it not working.
Exactly. I mean, there's a bodybuilder that were in the 70s, Dave Palumbo. He's got his own YouTube channel, RX Muscle on YouTube, and he was an IFBB pro, big competitive body. You're talking like 300-pound bodybuilder. He used to be, but he did it all through ketogenic dieting, and it's just because he obviously was very receptive to that diet. I mean, it worked for him. He were happy on it, and he could function on it, and he probably did that diet without actually thinking he was dieting. Do you know what I mean?
Just normal to him.
So say like imagine like when you're just normally regularly eating, and you're not in a diet phase, you're not in a cutting phase, you're not in a bulking phase. That'll probably his mindset whilst he were on the keto diet, because I mean it's just second nature. He just wants to eat proteins and fats. Yeah. So if that's so and it works for that individual, then by all means do it. I have no second guesses to that at all. But if we think about, if you have generally got a client that comes to you and they are like, right, I've seen this diet, I want to give it a go. It's a ketogenic diet. But they're used to a high carb, low fat, high protein approach, or moderate carb, high protein, low fat approach. And now all of a sudden they're wanting to throw that on its head. I do think that there's got to be some form of transitional period there. I don't think the best way to do it is to all of a sudden chuck 5 meals a day at high protein, high fat, low carbohydrate. And in that transitional phase, probably what I would recommend doing is almost do like a targeted ketogenic diet phase. So a targeted ketogenic diet phase would have kind of like carb cycling, basically. That's what it'd be. You're probably not in keto. You're probably not ketogenic for a long period of time, because then you're going to go into a high carb day and knock yourself out of it.
It's just adapting though, isn't it?
But it's just adapting. It's getting them into that transitional period of being able to, no, you're not going to do 7 days a week high fat, low carb, because I know that you're not going to sustain it. So I'm just going to give you 3 days a week doing that, and then work out your macros that you're still in an energy deficit if you're losing weight, that are going to be more sustainable to you. And then almost like you say, riding a bike, start with your training wheels, and then you take your training wheels off, and then all of a sudden you're cycling downhill at 30 mile an hour. So that's kind of the targeted transitional approach that I would look to put somebody on if they're wanting to do that, rather than just saying, bang, there you go.
I think
fail.
You probably need to do that with most diets anyway, I think.
Yeah.
Rather than like a jumping feet first kind of thing. Just ease that client or yourself into it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Like anything, I suppose.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Because you're setting them up to fail from the moment that you're slamming down five high fat and high protein meals on the table for them, because, like I say, it's too much of a change unless they're like me and you, where we kind of have our heads screwed on, in a sense of we understand the food, we understand the nutrition, and we're actually committed to wanting to make a change. So unless they're at that stage of readiness, they're not gonna be able to focus on it and sustain it for a long period of time. I don't think. No,
I agree. And a lot of people, they'll maybe try a diet like that and do it because they're going on holiday in 8 weeks' time. Or they've got a wedding or a social event or whatever. And they'll think, I need to be lean, or I need to lose weight for that event or whatever. And then they'll try that as, like you say, as a quick fix.
Will it work in 2.5 weeks?
That's it, mate. Talk to Matt after.
Going your way. Be a client next week.
Bloody hell.
Client and my education teacher.
I know. What else?
But there are pros and cons of it. I mean, a con of a pro of, well, now I'll start with pros. Pros of ketogenic diet are that you're effectively cutting out one pie third of a macro chart. Do you know what I mean? So you are going to lose weight. You effectively lost all those macros if you haven't rebalanced them into the protein and fats. And a con of it, though, is that protein and fats are not always the most readily available foods on hand.
The most expensive foods as well.
And probably the most expensive foods. So if you go into the supermarket and you're telling your client, right, go to the supermarket, I just want you to purchase high fat, high carb food and try and stay away from all the carbohydrates without giving them a shopping list, they're going to struggle.
I think a perfect example would be looking to Brandon. So living the student life, you survived on mugshots.
And I did quite well for a student.
Yeah, to be fair, you did come in with a lot of chicken most days.
That's Albert.
But you know that if you're going to go shopping, that the cheapest foods in there are going to be like your rice, pasta, anything along those lines.
I'd easily go buy like them 4 kilogram bags of pasta. Like £2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you to buy 4 kilogram of chicken, you're talking like 20, 25 quid at least. So it's one of those where you've got to be realistic with your budget as well. Not only obviously your food.
Definitely. I mean, sirloin steaks 5 times a day. Imagine it. Salmons, lovely.
Do you have time to cook it though?
Yeah, well, there's that as well.
Right.
There's that as
Carbs
well.
are more easily accessible. Pot noodle, carbs. Whereas if you want a chicken breast and rice, gotta go home, gotta cook it. I know you can buy obviously cooked chicken.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's more expensive again. So it's
Yeah.
finding what works for you as well.
It is. So yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, the keto diet, it might work for me, it might not work for you two, it might work for Matt, it might not work for you and me. It's one of those things that you don't know it until you've really tried it, and that's to reflect on a client and for you to be open-minded as an actual trainer and a coach at the same time.
Yeah.
That not everybody should be a drill sergeant, 7 meals a day, chicken, broccoli and rice, and then that's the only way to get fit and get healthy, because I mean, you're just sounding like any other friggin' bodybuilding coach that's on Instagram and in friggin' Bob's Spit and Sawdust gym. Do you know what I mean? So
it's definitely the old school approach.
Yeah, it's the old school approach, but it's not suited to general pop.
No, it's not. It's for those potential competitors, athletes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on keto diet. I mean, have you got any more questions on that?
No, I think in terms of like from a point of view as to why it's popular.
Yeah.
And obviously the benefits of it, and obviously how it could work for some people, how it couldn't work for others.
Yeah.
Again, is like pretty much every other diet. What works for me won't work for Brandon, vice versa, and then obviously what works for you won't work for us, kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not the nutrition side of things really isn't one size fits all.
Yeah.
It's totally down to that person and how
yeah.
unique their habits are or their preferences are.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I don't know if you ever looked into it, but like certain people can be fat adaptive, certain people can be carbohydrate adaptive. So I might react better to having carbohydrates in my body. You might react better to having fats on your body. Yeah. You're just able to digest them better. Yeah. You might have more lipase, digestive enzymes to be able to break down it better. I might have more amylase to be able to break down my carbohydrates a lot better. It's just one of those things. We're genetically made up differently. I mean, has anybody seen that female athlete? From South Africa? That sprinter. Yeah, I forgot her name now. But she has basically got more natural testosterone than the rest of her, than her people that she races against, her competitors. But the WADA, is it, or the drug testing for Olympics has kind of come out and slammed the Lord down now that she now has to take medication and drugs just to lower her natural levels of testosterone to be able to compete with the rest of her field.
Bloody hell!
I know but she isn't taking trend. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. She isn't lined up with a jaw bigger than mine and a friggin' beard. Yeah. It's she's naturally come from the womb having more testosterone than the other athletes. Yeah. What about males then? Are they all of a sudden going to start
making it regulate? They've got to be in a certain
have a regulated testosterone level of males. I mean, we are just made
it's testosterone, isn't it? You can't you can't manipulate it or say I want this amount of testosterone or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Matt, you wanted to talk about intermittent fasting?
Yeah, I just want to touch on it briefly. I'm not going to go into as depths of you did with keto, but it's obviously another diet that's very popular these days, and it's one that I see a lot on social media. I get asked about it quite a bit by clients and people on social media, and a lot of people really push it and say it's the most effective way to lose fat, etc. But from a point of view that I've, with my experience over the past few years, it's intermittent fasting is a dressed up calorie deficit, and it's basically your intermittent fasting, your fasting window. It's pretty much down to the individual. So for those who don't know, again, intermittent fasting, you'd have a fasting window and then an eating window. So you would, for example, out of 24 hours, you'd fast for say 16 hours, and then for the rest of the hours that you've got, that would be your eating window.
Right.
Yeah? Scientific behind it is while you fasted, you've not got any calories in your body. You're going to burn fat while you're not eating. Basically, you can work more your internal organs, your hormones can work more effectively. I don't know enough about that to say it works, it doesn't work, it's not as effective, but from what I've read and the knowledge I've gathered, it's not as effective as what people say it is. I've tried intermittent fasting before, like you've tried keto. it didn't really fit my lifestyle. I know personal trainers that do it. I know clients of mine that have tried it and have done it. Sorry, but for me, it's not one of those things where it's like, right, the only way to do it is to do that. Like with keto, if it works for you, then do it.
Yeah,
fantastic. You found something that works for you. But maybe with someone else who it doesn't work for, it doesn't mean they have to manipulate and really change their lifestyle to make it work for them. So that's it really. It's just one of those things where intermittent fasting, really, really popular. A lot of influencers, I'll use inverted commas, really push intermittent fasting and say it's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's ever seen X-Shred. He always pops up on YouTube ads. It's a right knobhead. And on his videos, he's like...
Shout out to X-Shred.
Yeah. And I think it's X-Shred or something like that. But he basically says all these Hollywood actors and actresses, they've got this secret formula to get in shape. And it's intermittent fasting.
Yeah. And
he's pushing it like... He's obviously got supplements that go along with it and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Nice little upsell.
Yeah, of course it is. It's about making money, I think, with a lot of people. But it's one of those things where if it works for you, do it and that's fantastic, but it doesn't mean it works for everybody.
Yeah.
Some people don't. Some people wake up in the morning, they won't feel hungry, so they could fast for X amount of hours and it works.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of come to the conclusion that intermittent fasting is really good for people that skip breakfast.
Absolutely. Yeah. So intermittent fasting, it's not for everybody, but if you're a bit skeptical or you think might work for me, just try it.
Yeah, I think looking at it, it's a really good. You're going to be in a calorie deficit. I mean, if you've got an eating window of X amount of hours and then all of a sudden you've got to pile all these calories in within that time frame, you're probably not going to get your daily currency. Because, I mean, it's not all of a sudden that you've got this 4-hour window, so then you're going to start smashing pizzas and everything as if friggin' aliens are going to drop down from space and invade world tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be still macronutrient orientated, I reckon. You're still going to have your certain allotted macros to hit of your protein, carbs and fats, and it's going to have to be nutritious food that you're going to eat. I mean, I've heard different things about IF and people going into it, like when you talked about the hormones. So like I know one con of it would be one pro of it would be that it helps people's insulin sensitivity and things because they've got that amount of time to be able to rest. So that's, don't quote me on that. I haven't looked into any journals regarding that, but that's one thing I've read. Also helping individuals' digestive system rest and relax and kind of like reorientate as such. That's what I've heard regarding intermittent fasting. Again, just looking at it from a client point of view, though, I've always found that it has quite a high dropout rate. Again, just it getting to around about. So imagine if you're waking up in the morning, you're not allowed to eat until 3-4 o'clock. There can be a lot of like itchy hands and jitteriness because they're looking at clock, thinking, "Oh, it's good. I can eat at this time." And just because you've got those barriers and those time frames doesn't mean that anything's going to be different from eating at 2:55 compared to 3:05. I mean, your body's not all of a sudden gonna say shit. No, you broke the fast now. I mean, plus 10 calories. That's not going to be good. So I think it's again just barriers. It's putting stabilizers on a diet and just saying, right, these are guidelines that you need to hit in order to be able to do this. But you touched on a little bit about influencers, and I genuinely think that if you're taking your dietary advice from somebody that's come off of Geordie Shore, Love Island, or any type of reality TV program, something's really gone wrong from that time period when you were actually born to the point of where you're at now. Because I think you really hit rock bottom and you need to reevaluate your life. It's like me asking a bricklayer to build a house for me that's got a friggin' gardening apprenticeship, level 2.
It's just so common though, isn't it? Because like you see Geordie Shore or some program that's coming up that I really don't watch and don't like is like Love Island and things like that. Big up Brandon. And
you're on it this year. That's what I've heard. So you're on about 2 weeks time.
About his keto diet for.
And it's one of them where they'll see that person, they'll see that they're in good shape, because they all are on Love Island. They're all, both men and women, they're in really good shape, and they're picked to on that show. That's obviously one of the main factors. And they'll look at that person and go, I want it like that. So when they come out of Love Island and they release whatever's 12-week shred plan or whatever, they'll jump on it, because they'll think if they follow that, they'll look like that person.
Yeah.
And that's the trap they fall into, I think.
That's it. I mean, if you're going to get any 20-something-year-old on a show that's known that they're going to go on that show for a certain period of time, so then they're just not going to eat a lot of carbs and take a lot of clenbuterol before they go on there, then by all means they're going to look okay, aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah.
So I mean, it's not something that you need to make sure that you're paying attention to who you're actually listening to.
Yeah.
When I go to a GP and when I go to my doctors, I know that I'm going to actually listen to what that doctor's saying to me, because they're solely qualified to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Same should go for a nutritionist or an RD, registered dietitian. They're the people that you want to be taking your advice from, not necessarily somebody that's been able to sell booty tea or whatever it's called and protein shakes.
Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't seen
wanna
any of
remember
that.
that.
God, honest to God, there's just some shite out there.
I think the best way to describe it is at uni, like you get all these sponsored students and they all reckon they're dog's bollocks and they'll walk around giving it all big and...
Here we go, he's left uni now, hasn't he? It's all coming out.
Nah,
Name drop.
Nah. I don't know the names, that's the problem. And then you see him at like Prism on a Monday night necking 15, 20 VKs or something, you're like, well, okay.
What's a sponsored
Well,
university?
they always reckon like they've got like shit my protein code basically.
Oh, right,
they all
sorry.
reckon
I
they-
thought you meant they've been sponsored to go to university.
No. They're all,
Right.
like, they're all think they're like next Steve Cook
Right.
or something.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they'll go on a night out and they'll drink the body weight in booze and like, yeah, I can still promote this really well. And
Yeah.
you're like, well, you're a student, mate.
The uni lifestyle.
You
And
can't.
that's the problem as well. I mean, it's we're in an age now where everybody thinks they've made it if they've got a discount code on their Instagram bio.
You
But-
should put one on for like name dropping these shakers right in front of us for Ghost, like 80% off. Just
No.
for a laugh, see how many people message you.
But I think that people should really understand the difference between like an ambassador and an actual sponsored athlete. There's a massive difference in that. An actual sponsored athlete is taking a wage and a salary
Yeah.
from that company.
And they're getting paid to
they're
do
getting
what they
paid.
do.
Exactly.
Go travel the world doing
Whatever they do,
random
yeah.
experiences
Expos, that
and-
kind of thing, yeah.
An ambassador's an online salesman.
Yeah. It's someone thinking, oh, I'm an ambassador for this company and I'm a free marketing tool.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And if I were to, don't get me wrong, I'd love a ton of different ambassadors flinging out like discount codes for me, because what does that mean? It means that we're getting more sales generated and people are talking about the product. And I think that does kind of show into like a younger generation's thought process now, that they actually want to be seen to be committed with a brand.
Yeah.
It's like, right, I'm with this brand. Look, wait, I want this code because I want to show all my friends that I've got this code, rather than actually thinking, I'll get this code and I'll actually might be able to use it as a marketing tool to make money on a referral basis.
Yeah.
They don't think that way.
No.
That's not their thought process. It's more to kind of show the friends and say, right, I'm the big dick in this gym because I've got a My Protein 20% discount code. Yeah, and that's what it is. I mean, if you took it took me back around about 8-9 years. That thought process I'd have been in. I'd wanted a frigging discount code, you know what I mean, just to show my friends and show frigging girls and stuff. You know me, I've got use Ben 10 at the checkout.
Ben 10?
Get Ben 10. Use Ben 10 at the checkout.
That's a cartoon.
Get 10% off your stringer vest at beastmode.com.
Low scoops.
Yeah, one of these companies nobody's heard about, but they've given me an affiliate code.
A
It's
free
fine.
T-shirt that I can put on my Instagram every now and again.
Yeah,
That's it, yeah.
Boss, innit?
yeah, pajama top. That's
Who
all. That's
used
all
to-
they're good
Who
for.
used to go to uni? If I'd known something like that,
Wasted 3
I'd have
years.
saved 49 grand.
Is that all?
That's it. Could have bought a few cars for that.
Yeah, that's
Could have
it.
done, mate, yeah. Absolutely.
Absolutely. But any more on IF, mate?
That's it really. I think just because I get asked so much about it,
Yeah.
in a nutshell, my opinion of it is if it works for you, then do it. If it doesn't, it's not the be all and end all.
What do you think about people actually gaining weight with intermittent fasting? Do you reckon it can be done?
Yeah, it can be done. They just got to eat a lot, and obviously that fasting window
Yeah.
I suppose you could keep the fasting window the same, but the window where they eat, they've obviously got to get a lot of calories in a smaller amount of time.
Yeah.
So, like you said before, using the chicken analogy, when you're trying to eat 300 grams of chicken,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a slog to kind of get in one meal or in over a couple, where you've got to kind of get, say if someone's got to eat like 3,000 calories and not eat it in pizza and crap, you've got to get it in nutritious, good,
Yeah.
good nutritional value to it.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder for people to do. It's doable, but it'll probably be harder than
Yeah.
doing it the conventional way of eating like more meals throughout the day.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about it now. I think I do intermittent fasting.
So do I, without realising it sometimes.
No, well, I mean, I go to bed at 10 o'clock on a night and I wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm intermittently fasting whilst I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clever,
But
that, innit?
but
Yeah.
sometimes I'll skip breakfast
Yeah.
and then not eat till like lunchtime. So essentially, I do it,
Yeah.
but I'm not trying to do it. It's just
You're not trying to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm not hungry in the morning.
And I think with general pop, it's like general population, they want to be committed to be doing something. So
Yeah.
that means that a diet needs to have a name. A diet needs to have guidelines.
Yeah.
A diet needs to have criteria that you need to hit to then say that you're doing this.
The thing
Yeah.
is, and this is something I say to all my students when we're going through the level 3
Yeah.
nutrition stuff, is that the word diet has got such a bad stigma about it. It's almost like someone hears the word diet and they're like, that's not good, or they may look at it in a negative way.
Yeah.
A diet is just someone's calorie intake and their preferences and what they eat.
Yeah.
That's essentially what diet means.
Yeah.
Whereas people look at, if you say to someone, oh, Brandon, what diet you on? Or Ben, what diet you on? And they go, oh, I'm on the keto diet, or I'm on Weight Watchers or whatever. They look at it in a negative way rather than looking at it for what it is, and it's just what foods you eat and your preference.
It is, yeah. Look
and
at the bigger picture. It's like if you could actually suck your inner being out of yourself to look at yourself from a friggin' third person
Yeah.
point of view, your diet is actually, it's just what you're eating.
Yeah.
It doesn't specifically have to bode a name or bode a term. There's something on TV. I don't know if it's finished now. I don't know if you watched it, Matt, but it were either an ITV show, and they were seeing which diet was the best pound for pound.
I've heard about it, I've not seen it.
I've heard about it, and I could not for the life of me tell you the name of the show.
I know what it is, I've heard of it, yeah.
But again, that's putting people into the mindset that a diet needs to have a name, it needs to have an owner, it
Yeah.
needs to have an author, it needs to have a book.
Yeah, it needs to have a regimented template for what you need to follow.
Exactly, yeah. So, I mean, it's one of those things. It's people just putting together a set of rules and saying, eat this way and you should lose weight.
Yeah.
Rather than being holistic with the whole approach. You go, well, unfortunately now you also do find a lot of nutritionists and RDs that are kind of in with one form of diet. But if you speak to like the ones with the head screwed on, they will look at nutrition and diet from a lot more holistic point of view,
Yeah.
rather than say, oh, well, you come to me because I'm the keto registered dietitian,
Yeah.
and they're able to put that on their Instagram bio.
You get like veggie ones now. Obviously, veganism's massive, so you can get veganism or vegan, specific dietitians and stuff.
Yeah.
So I suppose it's the area that they specialise in, should we say? That's obviously the one that they're going to promote, isn't it?
Yeah. Look at it from a business point of view.
Yeah.
They found a niche. They want to own it. You come to me if you want to do a vegan diet, because I'm the vegan registered dietitian. Got first.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah.
dissertation.
Sounds like I can't be that specific about something like that. Though. I'll work on it. Come back to me.
Yeah.
You need to put it on your Instagram bio.
What? I just got first.
Yeah. You need to get it in there somewhere.
It needs to be some, like, just make it really niche, just to like fuck people off. Just be like, right, I'm the guy that you want to come to if you want to know about the Bundesliga loan system for the past 9 years.
Oh,
Yeah.
mate.
Yeah.
You get about
Because
three,
people
That's
look
my
at it and go,
niche.
Don't know what that is.
3 requests in my whole life. That'll be my mum, my nan, and my dad. Well, what did you do
It's
again?
all right, mate. I'll give you a discount code that you can put on.
There you go.
It'll give you some higher authority within your social circles. You'll be fine.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I've peaked this last week, haven't I? Strength to strength.
Wait till you get your PT. Well, that'll be a nice day for you, mate.
You can put PT any your bio name then.
Mate,
There
I'll
you
be
go.
Yeah.
Brandon Milner Fitness then.
There you go.
Brandon Milner PT.
Oh, mate.
Come to me for all your PT needs.
That's it, mate.
And your
So, yeah, I
Bundesliga
get a
loan
nice little
system
niche to get, a
queries.
nice little strap line.
There you go.
Yeah.
On it.
Oh, I'm telling you. They're calling you all out.
Call me out. Call him bollocks on
Everything.
the EFL loan system.
Oh, maybe that's not right. I've got a PT qual. He's not allowed to do that.
So away from talking Bundesliga,
Sorry.
Matt. So what about your clients? What are they doing? What's their diet protocols that they follow?
So I kind of tend to try and do the same thing with a lot of my clients just because it works. Not the fact that they all follow the exact same thing. It's not a cookie cutter plan.
Yeah.
It's just a templated way that I create plans that seems to work.
Okay.
I offer something I call it a coaching program for my clients.
Right.
Which includes like training and nutrition help.
Yeah.
So I'll throw up an example one here on the board. So this is basically, this is one that I followed some time ago. That's why I put Matt's diet plan on there. But basically, it's really, really detailed in the fact that it breaks everything down really simply. Mm-hmm. So you can see it's broken down into meals, a rough time, and then obviously you've got your macronutrients, total calories for that specific food, and then total calories for that meal.
Yeah.
And then at the bottom, it's got your daily. So you've got your daily calories, carbs, fats, and proteins as well.
Right.
In these grey boxes here, it'd be just full of additional information relative to that client and what's relative to them.
Yeah.
And what I generally do is I would create a plan that's tailored to that person. So I would gain usually a 7 to 10 day food diary from them.
Yeah.
Which would give me an insight to their current eating patterns, their food preferences, whether they skip breakfast, whether they snack late at night, whatever.
Right.
And then what I would generally do is I will go away, look at that, and use that information and create some form of plan like this.
Yeah.
Now, to give this to someone and say, right, follow that for the next 4 weeks, it's unrealistic to most people because it's regimented, there's no freedom in there, and it's very specific. So what I would generally do is I would give them more of a guideline plan. So you can see here your calories. So the main thing that I would get them to look at is that box there. Just highlight it in red so you can see it.
That one?
That one there is your total calories.
Yeah.
So if the client's wanting to lose weight, or fat for most people, I would put them in a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
So I'd work that out behind the scenes, and that would be the number on there. And then all I would do, I would regress that basically and work backwards and go, right, so what type of foods are they eating? Are they getting enough protein?
Right.
Are they eating a lot of processed foods? Do they eat late at night? Do they skip breakfast? Etc. All those types of things. And then all I would do from then is I would populate this plan that would give you an idea of meals that would fit that calorie deficit. Mm. Yeah. So this is one that I followed. This is one I did last year. Mm-hmm. This works for me. This is the times on there. They work around my work day. So you can see, like at 3:30, I'll eat, which would be my my meal before I train my clients of an evening, and then you can see I don't eat again until 9 o'clock. That's just because of an evening I have clients, so it works around that. Yeah. Oh. In the morning, that's what time I would eat because that's when I'd start to feel a little bit hungrier, etc. Mm-hmm. And then all I would do is I'd give that to the client and go, right, there is your guideline template. Now it's not a holy Bible where you've got to follow that how it is. Like I've just said, the main thing here is your calorie intake. So daily calories, that's the main thing that you want to be looking at. Yeah. Underneath that's your macros, so getting in a good balance of your 3 macronutrients. And then from there, it's obviously your choice in terms of like what foods you're eating within that. So that's kind of what I do with a lot of my clients to begin with. And then I talked a little bit earlier about like education. So from there, what I would do is I would sit down with that client and go, right, okay, has it worked for you? What didn't work? What foods have you included that are different to the plan? Mm-hmm. And then kind of get them to build an idea of the amounts of food that they should be eating, because that's obviously a big one, is portion control. Mm-hmm. And then along that is kind of making sure that they're full, so they're not going hungry, which they shouldn't be following this. Making sure that they're not skipping any food out of there, so they're eating enough calories, because that tends to be a problem with people who've kind of got that weight loss mentality where they think, I'll eat as little as possible and I'll lose it faster, which it's just not the healthy way to do things. And then kind of from there, then it's just about building that education, that knowledge, and then it'll get to the point, which I've got clients now who they do their own food plans, and then they say, Matt, is this okay? Right, yeah. Or they'll go, Matt, I'm thinking of doing this meal for this evening. Is that okay? Kind of thing. And they'll just check in with me. Yeah. And it's got to the point now, I've got a couple of clients, a couple who are good friends of mine now, and they've been training with me for about 3 years, and I don't even do them a plan anymore because they know
They know, yeah,
So
they've been able to eyeball
Yeah.
food and things.
So they'll say, so I'll say, oh, what have you eaten? They'll reel it off and I go, perfect.
Well, that's a testament to them being able to form and build a habit.
Yeah.
They've been able to adhere to it for that long now
Yeah.
that it's almost like clockwork, the way
Yeah.
that they've been able to follow it.
It's adapting that small template really into
Yeah.
the lifestyle.
It is, yeah.
And I could talk to you for hours about making sure it works for you and habit manipulation and correcting it so it's more healthy.
Yeah.
But in a nutshell, that's kind of what I would do initially with that client. So
Yeah.
when they start training with me, kind of thing.
That's good. Have you ever had times, Matt, where you've gone to the effort of actually writing a program like this for somebody, and then they're saying that they're following it, they're
Yeah.
stepping on the scales, but nothing's really happening,
Yeah.
but they're swearing to God that they followed it step by step? What have you have you done any strategies to kind of get around that?
I'm quite thankful that I'd say pretty much all of my clients in the past have been
Yeah.
really good.
Right.
I know a lot of other PTs probably can't say that. They've had people who are maybe a little bit, maybe tell fibs here and there,
Yeah.
and one thing and another. I have, upon sign up, I have like an honesty policy with all my clients.
Yeah.
I basically say to them, if you fuck up and don't follow the plan, or if you're going a binge all weekend or whatever, don't cry about it. Just tell me.
Yeah.
If you're honest with me, we can kind of work around it and move forward with it, rather than thinking, right, so at the end of the 2 weeks and you're stepping on the scales and nothing's changing,
Yeah.
I'll know why, you'll know why, rather than you saying, no, I've just followed it to the letter and still nothing's happening.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean, where people will say, yeah, I've followed it and haven't. I suppose a strategy around that would kind of be more, if the plan's right and I know it's right, because I mean, when I first started doing it, if I had a client doing that, then I'd be like, shit, what have I done wrong?
Yeah.
Because I've been doing it quite a while now. I've got that experience where I know if you follow that, it should work. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I suppose I've not really had to be in that situation.
I'll tell you what I've done before in the past, and it might kind of sound that it's a little bit like I've been on the case a little bit too much, but what I find is that if they're saying that they're following it, but I kind of know that they're not,
Yeah.
or I have an inkling that they're not, what I've done in the past is I've actually set a timer in my phone to like kind of calculate when that I know that client should be eating.
Right.
And then I send them an instant message to say, send me a picture now of what you're eating, of your food.
Yeah.
So then it's almost they're trying to build that extra level of accountability to actually think that I'm actually on the back. So let's say if it's 10:30 and you're supposed to be having a bagel and cheese, but then all of a sudden they're round Mackey's drive-through trying to get last breakfast that's there.
Yeah.
Then if I know that they can't lie then from
Yeah.
that one single point of what
Yeah.
they're doing. So that's a way that I've tried to find to kind of like try and help them adhere to it. I've also had it before sometimes because a lot I have like a handful of online people that I deal with still, just as like kind of keep me ticking over, and if they I don't feel that they're executing exercises correctly, I've asked them to send videos of that as well.
I've done that before.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like if they're saying that their squat is not improving, I'll say, right, okay, next time I want you to do that squat, just mount your phone up somewhere, take a good video, clear video from it, and send it over, and then
Yeah.
from there I can then actually see
Correct
if they're
them
doing
if
it
they need
correctly.
to,
'Cause,
yeah.
I mean, if I'm dealing with somebody online and I've not actually seen them face to face, I don't know what YouTube videos or what crap PTs have had in the past to show them how to complete exercises.
Yeah.
They can tell me that they know how to do one, but then if I'm not physically there to be able to see it, I need to then use a source of media to be able to actually deal with
Yeah.
that situation. So it's kind of using all your tools that you've got available
yeah.
to make sure that you're doing the best possible job that you can to try and commit to that client, to make sure that they're committing to what their diet is
Yeah.
or what their exercise program is.
Yeah,
I think.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important as well to kind of have that good level of communication.
Yeah.
So obviously I know your clients are online, but all my clients now are face to face. So
Yeah.
I see them all at least once a week. But
Mhm.
outside of that, they've all got my private number. If they need anything, they're just a message away.
Yeah.
And I think that helps massively, having that extra support.
Yeah.
1 hour a week is perfect for like a session, for like a check-in almost.
Yeah.
But I think if you just did like once a week for your client to kind of be, especially a newer client maybe, not left to their own devices, they might kind of think I'm a little bit on my own. Whereas if you're providing that support, it just helps them adhere to it a bit more.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's good to see. It'd be good to see as well for people that are potentially pretty new, that you've got that diet program there. I mean, guys that are listening actually on iTunes and Spotify, so if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll be able to see this and be able to see Matt's diet plan that he's got here as well. But if you can't see it and you are wanting to see it, Matt, what's your Instagram handle? And I'm sure that if they drop you a message, you'll be able to show them.
It's mallet.fitness, really simple. If you just go on there, you'll see, you can't see it because you're obviously listening, but it's just MF logo, Mallet Fitness. I think there's only one on there. There's only one Mallet Fitness. So if you just go on there and drop me a message, I'll be happy to kind of talk you through everything.
Over here, isn't it?
There's only one Mallet Fitness.
That's it, mate.
That's what we sing right now.
But I go over this a lot with my learners as well. Just because it's practical knowledge for PTs.
It's practical knowledge. Yeah, definitely. That probably is a good idea for us to be able to put onto next time as well. That maybe just show like an online training program as well. So we'll have a look at a bit of nutrition and diet. Just kind of have a look at what level and caliber that it would be expect, or I'd expect if what a PT has got to ask themselves is if they're selling their product, is it actually a product that they'd be happy to receive? So like I know that if I want to purchase online training or an online diet plan from somebody, I'm going to expect that to be fucking good. That's what I want, because I want it to be something a lot more efficient and a lot more better than what I'd be able to do and complete and write myself. So that's what I would say as a piece of advice. You've got to ask yourself as a personal trainer, how much would you actually pay for what you're producing? And if it's not a good amount, or if you're thinking, I'd only give myself 20 quid, then there's actually something wrong with your product.
It's too expensive or it's too cheap, whichever way. Absolutely.
There's something wrong with your product there.
Absolutely.
So let's say if you were to release a diet plan, Matt, to somebody. So I mean, you said that your clients are all face to face. Not to kind of delve into what you offer and things like that, but I mean, would you usually sell that as a one-time purchase, or would it be a continuous thing?
So I used to sell like one-off diet plans, but without the support, and I mean, you try and message someone, but sometimes they don't always message back, so it's hard to kind of keep up with someone. So I used to sell like one-off diet plans. I don't do that anymore.
No.
Just because I want people to do well, and I don't want to just make a quick 50, 60 quid off a one-off diet plan, however much you charge for it. So now this is only included with my coaching program.
Okay.
And the coaching program is you work with me once a week. You get updated nutrition plans as frequently as you want them.
Right.
Same with nutrition. Same with training. And then obviously as much support or little as you need, kind of thing. And that kind of works. I'd say like 80% of my clients do that, just because it works so well.
That's good. That's good. Ways I've done it, well, the way I do it now, I were very much similar when I was brand new to industry. You see it as a quick win almost, which is bad, because I mean, like, but obviously I'm just being honest and talking from experience. A lot of people that are probably new to industry would probably be thinking the same thing as well, but just don't learn from our experiences. What I find best is this is what I do anyway. I initially charge an upfront fee for all the planning, for all the like nutritional consultation forms, all the data, manipulating that data, then putting it into something such as this. So what I would do, I'd charge that one-time upfront fee. Let's say that one-time upfront fee would be £60 for that consultation and the data analysis, and then putting it into a program such as what you see here. And then what I do then is I charge a weekly retainer. So a weekly retainer, because again, all my stuff's online, but what I do with people, a weekly retainer would consist of like just checking in with them, and then towards the end of the week, them feeding back on how they've done with the diet, how foods are making them feel, but how they're also making them progress if they want to gain, lose weight, or maintain, or whatever, or for performance reasons. And then that weekly retainer, what I found for the client is, although you might think, oh, weekly retainer, that's quite a bit of money that they're having to shell out each week. Well, no, I want that person to be committed to what I'm doing. I'm going to be committed to them for offering a service. Well, I want them to be committed and actually pay a weekly retainer to myself, because I know personally, if I'm going to pay something out each week, I'm going to do it. Yeah. If I've got my wife on my back saying, why is this money going out each week and you're not changing shape, you're going to make sure that you're frigging sticking to it and you're committed to it. And that bodes better results for your client, because they're more adhered, they're sticking to the diet, and they're actually more committed to it on a financial level. But then also you're able to ensure that you're getting that constant communication with your client. Things can be changed quickly, and you know that client's going to have their head screwed on if you do want to make any quick changes or amendments to the diet. So that's what I find works better in terms of a nutritional sense. And that's a current format and scheme that I stick to: initial upfront fee and then a weekly retainer for that client. Because I found a month's a little bit too long. A month's a long time for them to be able to get lost and then not
just
bother
more
about
adherence, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't mean that they don't get a check-in, and they only get a check-in once a month. I mean, it would still be on a weekly basis, but then it's not that much of a... It's not something that's every week. Do you know what I mean? Money talks. And I think in a lot more sense than what it does in terms of actually just leaving your bank account. It's an emotional attachment to giving somebody money each week.
Because it is,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, is there any other questions you guys got to cover or anything like that? Brandon, have you got any questions about nutrition, mate?
Oh, mate,
You've been learning about it all.
I'm just starting qualification now, aren't I? No.
You should have a notepad and pen here, mate. That's what
Really, shouldn't I?
you're going to learn today,
you can watch
boy.
it back and be editing it tomorrow.
But so I think that's everything. We're going to wrap it up there. Thanks for listening, guys. I mean, if you are still listening, make sure that you drop a subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. So click that button, make sure that you keep up to date with all of our podcasts and latest videos that we're issuing out. And also, if you're listening to iTunes and Spotify, if you're listening to us on there, on the podcast, make sure that you leave a rating if you can, please, on this podcast. It'll really help the channel out. And also look to subscribe as well, because that'll, again, help us out massively. So let's spread the knowledge, guys. Let's keep up to date. And thanks for listening.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.